The story begins with a guy talking about a woman named Snow White. He mentioned that he would be the target, but one by one, we raised our hands and asked why Snow if she isn't Caucasian, questioning if she isn't the typical Asian woman, and she seems too weak to be a target, but that guy refers to him as team leader, his Ioki, and asks him not to play the situation by race or gender, as she is an extremely dangerous woman. Anan Nanayama, also known as Snow White, is the leader of the Yakuza. The Nanayama Gumi. The reason she is called Snow White is that she is the main drug supplier, which in this case is the white powder, and that's why she has the nickname Snow White. The target plans to throw a drug party at a hotel with minimal security. After meeting with the domestic organization, the international faction, and to prevent the illegal distribution of drugs internally in the country, they must use this opportunity to eliminate her. And since they will be undercover, organizational conflict won't be allowed. Firearms are not authorized. A guy in glasses asks him if this mission is difficult, and that's why they assigned the best of their agents. The team leader, his Yoki. He says that he trusts him, the team leader, while the guy just says to leave it to him. Now, at the hotel for the party, as soon as he steps out of the elevator, three guys wonder who that man is and start yelling at him, asking who he is, saying he can't stay there. But the man only tells Alpha, who is already entering, and so he pulls out a knife, which surprises the others, thinking that then he is not the enemy. Suddenly, Suyoke charges at them, and as that guy is about to attack, Suyoke quickly blocks and manages to make a move with his arm, slicing the attacker's throat. After the first one falls, another comes from behind, but quickly that guy uses his enemy as a shield. They were told that approximately 10 non-combatants need to be eliminated, and they estimate that there will be more than 20 combatants. He asks how many agents would be needed to enter the hotel, and the man says 3 agents, including him. That guy asks if that isn't too many, but I says there are 3 exits, so there's no other way. After all, it's an extermination operation. While he thinks that, in reality, it doesn't matter how many attacks there are, no one can win. His brothers are stronger than most, and one of them says that this was too easy, while the man thinks, well, they are the black agents, the elite survivors from hell, and he tells them to focus on the mission. After they gather, they're approaching the target, and the man says that inside everyone will be high. Now, there's only one exit left, which is right there, and they must block the exits and kill everyone. They say he is going to open the door, that Snow White one. Inside, he just stares at the door while she holds a girl, and just like that, the 3 stop quickly, and the gentleman wonders what the hell is going on. His friends in the back ask their boss what the hell happened there and why they are all dead. This gentleman orders them to find the target now. First, they must close the entrances and lock the door. As soon as they close the door, someone turns on the lights. After the lights are on, that Snow White says that the entrance is closed and the door is locked, which surprises the 3 a lot. She quickly asks them what comes next. Soki wonders what the hell this woman is, and even now, staring at her, he can't understand, with her basically holding the girl's head, saying then she must kill them all, while Swoki thinks if he had run away with his brothers, maybe they would have had a chance. They thought they were the strongest, but now they are face to face with death, so she calls for the one on the right and tells him to grab that, throwing the girl's head at him. As soon as he grabs the head, quickly that Snow White throws something that goes through the girl's head and tears her neck, making her fall to the ground. The 2 scream for him, wondering what the hell that was. The guy is really pissed, runs at her, calling her a bitch, but Soyek tells her to stop, saying she is an ordinary person, but to his surprise, she simply with a small cap makes a huge hole in his skull, shocking Soyek once again. She starts laughing, saying that it doesn't matter how many insects gather, they remain just insects. He asks what she thinks she can do now, and with a lot of hate, he says he is a bastard and deserves to die, while thinking he needs to keep calm. This entity is beyond his ability, but they can't retreat now. Once again, she throws something at him, and he realizes it was a tooth. He turns to the side and manages to dodge, but still, he gets grazed. And she says that then he really is something, already with other teeth in her hand, and begins throwing them all at him, but he manages to evade, dodging. So, with a big leap very close to her, he charges to attack her, telling her to die, but quickly Anna grabs his head and throws him away. While he thinks this is impossible and what kind of power this is, to his surprise, she jumps high and falls right on him. Quickly, she lands on his 2 legs and easily crushes them while he starts screaming in pain. She, with that psychopathic face, says she liked him a lot, and that makes her even more excited. And what if she asks him to entertain her more while he wonders how to do so, while she keeps stabbing that knife into his hand? And he asks if this is fun for her and if taking lives is her enjoyment. He begins to shout at her, asking if she thinks this is fun, and quickly brings it up to her neck, waking up tearing a piece out. And she, startled, is quickly hit by a shard of glass he picked up. She stares at it, surprised, and simply falls over him. He thinks that in the end, he managed to kill her, and that the revenge was a success. In the end, he survived alone and asked for forgiveness from all his brothers who died, and soon he will join them. But at that moment, he feels something strange in his body and starts spitting blood, while she quickly gets up again and says that this was incredibly unpredictable. Even though he's human, biting his neck was truly impressive. After she takes that shard of glass out of his neck, she begins to regenerate, while he often wonders what the hell kind of shit this is. But at that instant, he feels something in his body and starts screaming in pain, while she tells him not to try to understand, because it doesn't make sense. And he is the first she knows who is like this. As he begins to writhe, spit more blood, and scream louder and louder, she says she hopes he can manage. Once again, she drives that knife deep into the palm of his hand, while he continues screaming in even more pain. After he passes out, she says he really is pathetic. And at that moment, the goons of that woman burst through the door, asking if the boss is okay. But they stare at her with much anger, and with that same tooth she threw at the other guys, she pierces his skull. The others only see that scene and are horrified, while she, with great anger, just orders them to clean up the bodies, saying they will be heading back to Japan now. And thus it is said that the manner of death evaluates life. Some enter coffins, and a guy smoking asks how many they have. One of his agents says 33 urns, while it is also said that others enter urns, and he doesn't know who evaluates life, and so those continue preparing the urns. The gentleman inside one of them wonders what kind of life he had and how he ended up there. And now, in the late afternoon, the gentleman rises from his urn, shocking all those guys, wondering what is happening. But the smoking guy just stares at our boy, and they go over there, telling them not to worry, because he's definitely just dead. They ask what the hell that is, since they've never seen anything like it before, and what kind of grudge would make him do something like that, while Chuke only thinks that he refuses to die, and that guy with his cigarette just keeps passing it right down his throat. And the boy is still wondering what kind of evaluation he will receive, and that cigarette burn is regenerating easily. Meanwhile, that guy looks quite surprised and stares at our boy as if he were prey. The two think that, then, he survived, and the man thinks once again that he wants the evaluation of his death, but he is sure he will receive it after he gets his revenge on that funny disgrace. In this way, his Yoki is having a dream, recalling that moment when they hadn't yet entered that room and all his friends were still alive. He quickly feels a tremendous emptiness and wonders what that is, but suddenly hands grab his head and pull him close to a woman with multiple hands, as she stares at him and says that he also made it. He is just trying to escape from that woman, but she keeps saying that he is welcome and that he is a golden wanderer. At that moment, he opens his eyes to a blazing sun right above him, and they question what that is. His head is hurting a lot, and they wonder what he is doing, but he stares at that scene with several dead people right in front of him and asks himself, what the hell is this? He is completely shocked, but someone right beside him calls his name, using the name Soyak, and says that they are from the headquarters. He asks him to please come with them. Now, in a car, he asks both of them what happened on the ship. They say they are also investigating, heard he completed the mission, and ask if he's not tired, but he says he's fine. The guy in front says the trip is not short, and at least he should try to sleep during the journey. Already staring at him with the gas mask on, he realizes that in the end, they used the sleep gas, and at that moment, he passes out. That person with the mask calls someone else and says they captured a specimen, referring to the guy on the other end of the line as director. While talking to the two, he says they did a good job and that he should bring the boy to his lab because they will start dissecting him immediately. He begins to tremble with excitement, and with that crazy expression, he says he finally succeeded, and that thing, he got what he wanted. After a few hours, the car arrives in front of the lab, and the director starts running towards those guys, calling for the researchers. They go to the trunk and find his cheese foot. They must bring him quickly, as they need to conduct several experiments. But as soon as the guy opens the trunk, he is completely shocked to see that Seok was not there, but rather the two agents. He wonders what is happening, but quickly receives a bullet in the middle of his forehead. But 2 agents are shot, one after the other, and even the director gets a spray of blood right in the face. He stands frozen, watching that scene and wondering what the hell just happened. To his shock, the Suyo gets out of the car and he starts trembling. After he recognizes him, he begins to run, calling all units and ordering them to take that guy down, with his Yuki slowly approaching him, reloading his weapon. He sees several agents rushing at him to attack, as he first takes down one, then 2, then 3. A guy with a red knife beside him, but he manages to dodge and shoot him right in the arm while he screams in pain. The punch lands solidly on his head, and quickly he sees 2 more running up on his right. He dodges the first, grabs him by the arm, and pulls him back, while simultaneously punching the other in the face. When the guy's head slams hard against the car, he grabs that same knife and plunges it into his neck. Then quickly, he senses danger and realizes he's been shot in the head. Thus the director walks, saying they caught him and he wants them to check. 2 agents slowly approach Soyak, but he swiftly disappears from there and is right under the car. With a leap, he takes one down while Karen starts screaming, saying she was sure she shot him in the head and how he could still be alive. Quickly, Shock disarms him, grabs him by the arm, and applies a chokehold while he begs for mercy. Shock thinks about how he and his team dedicated their whole lives to the country and remembers a few hours ago when he killed the 2 agents and read the mission information. In great anger, he thinks that now this bastard sacrificed them to get what he wanted. He wants to show him that the contest can be a dog and that he abandoned that key player. In the scene of Soyak cutting off an agent's head, he is completely shocked, seeing Soyak looking like a demon slowly walking towards him. As he comes closer, he remembers being killed 2 or maybe 3 times almost on the same day and doesn't understand what is happening to his body. But what is certain is that as an agent, he must gather information and eliminate enemies. The director pleads for the team leader to calm down, saying he will explain everything and talk about the circumstances. He will help with his next promotion, while he asks him to please put that down. But Soyuk doesn't care about him and shoots him in the leg. The old man begins to scream in pain, asking him to wait a moment, but Suyuki glares at him with great anger and tells him to shut up, answering his question and telling him to say what he did to him. And the director says it seems there was some misunderstanding, but he should listen to what he wants to say. Only, once again, Suyuki shoots him in the other leg and he keeps screaming, while the gentleman asks him to stop this useless conversation. Then the director says that even if he dies, he comes back to life and his wounds are healed quickly. Some of Anna's subordinates were like that too, while the gentleman is quite surprised. The director says this guy is reaching the top of Japan, even being a new force, and probably thanks to this technology. They also wanted to obtain this technology, and the gentleman asks if that was why they sent their agents. But instead of getting any information, they all ended up dead. With that, the plan was revised, and not with those mediocrities, they decided to send a reliable agent, and he was the chosen one. As soon as she entered Korea, she brought this technology, and from now on, even on dangerous missions, they don't have to worry. About the injured, the director says he worked hard. Team leader Soyak saying he is a hero, but quickly he gets shot in the arm and says he told everything, so why does he keep shooting at him? But Soyak tells him that he talks like a hero and asks if they don't plan to use him as just a mere guinea pig. He wants to know if they at least knew who that woman was. If there were more deaths, they should have gathered more information. They all died because of their greed, and his colleagues could have been saved. But Naruto says they will assume he has some strange abilities. Those bastards from the Yakuza are just people too, and he said he wouldn't lose to those people. But in the end, that's his job, and still, he lost. They only died because they were on a death wish mission. They even gave them medals when they died, and he asks why he's making such a fuss with him, calling Soyak a bastard. But the guy simply kicks the old man in the face, and with him bleeding and crying a lot, Soyak just tells him to shut up and say nothing more. He grabs his knife and tells him to feel the pain the agents felt, as this night will be terribly long. While the desperate old man just begs him to wait for the moment, someone shoots right at his weapon, and when he realizes there are other agents in some cars ordering him to drop the weapons and surrender. The director asks why it took them so long to arrive, and thus several armed guys gather around our boy. While he thinks this is dangerous. He needs to find cover fast, but when he starts to run, those guys start shooting at him and he gets hit several times. After he accesses the fire, he falls to the ground, apparently dead, and the director laughs, saying he looks all powerful. But he sold himself out and that's what he deserves. He just needs to stay locked up forever, and he willingly gave his blood since he can resurrect and heal wounds too. And then the director says that whether it's him or the Yakuza, he just needs to dominate with firepower. Laughing, he says that team leader Tsuyoki worked hard, but to everyone's surprise, a girl appears right above that laboratory, asking that old man if that is Tsuyoki. Many people ask who this woman is, and she says she's the leader of the 7th Squad, Mayaka, and that she is the person he just mentioned. While he, very worried, just orders everyone to kill her, when they shoot, she makes a great leap and appears right behind them. When they realize it, they ask when that happened, but she easily cuts through each one of them with her swords. Other agents start to form a defense and begin shooting at the girl. When she faces them at a very fast speed, she starts to block the bullets with her swords. The agents wonder how she uses swords against bullets, if that is really possible. But at that moment, she cuts off the head of that agent and then continues to cut the head off each of them. With the last agent, she splits him in half, but there is a guy far away, just aiming at the girl. When he starts to shoot, she sees the bullet slowly coming her way, and in that instant, with her super fast reflexes, she cuts the bullet in half. She wonders what the hell that is, and how she cut a bullet. What kind of monster is this? But at that moment, she cuts the arm of the guy who just shot her, and then, with another guy, she tears his head off. That director wonders what the hell that is, and who this woman is, but realizes that she is a monster he cannot defeat. But he doesn't even notice when he is cut because it was a quick, perfect slice, and he has lost half of his head. She approaches Tsuyoki and says she knows he's awake, and asks if he is Tsuyoki. She tells him that Miss Anna asked for him to be brought to her. Finding his boy very angry, he starts to grind his teeth, showing his fangs, and just tells her to get out of there. But she says there's a correction. She didn't say to bring him there, but to bring him to her. And at that moment, she attacks him, but he manages to defend himself with his knife, while she says he is very impressive. He continues defending himself, thinking he has lost too much blood, and the longer he takes, the worse it gets. He thinks that maybe this is his only option, already seeing her attacking him. She says he has resisted for a long time, but she quickly blocks and says this is his end, already driving the sword into his stomach. To his surprise, he grabs her arm and stares at her, speaking of how he got her, which shocks the girl greatly. At that moment, she draws her sword and cuts off his arm, while he, with his knife, decapitates her. They both fall to the ground, and he, with half of his body severed, can only remember that woman, with her neck bleeding profusely, healing in a few seconds as he thinks that this time he has definitely cut off her head, and he has surely won, but his mind is fading. As he closes his eyes, he wonders if he is dying again. To his shock, she says he is quite impressive, with his body holding his decapitated head. He is completely stunned, asking what kind of woman she is. Thus, he sees her lift her head, and after she fits her head back on, returns to normal. She says that Miss Anna would find this desirable, as he begins to tremble, thinking that his body is truly not moving and that he is screwed. She, right above him, says that he did well, and that when he wakes up, he will be before Miss Anna. While she thinks that he should now be more obedient, the blood supply has been cut off, and he is still conscious. She must return now before it is too late, but to her shock, he begins to get up, and she asks if he really can still fight, even though she had said that fighting is useless. Nevertheless, he charges at her. With his other sword, he cuts off her other arm, and without arms, she says that at this rate, all her limbs will be severed. To her shock, he gets punched and wonders what the hell that is, and where this other arm came from. At that moment, his other arm is reconstructed, and he charges at her with 2 new arms, while she thinks that this must be his regeneration, a high-level regeneration at extreme speed. Thus, he leaps onto her and bites her arm, sinking his fangs into it as she thinks it's a drag. At this moment, he manages to rip her arm off, and while sucking the blood from her arm, she realizes that she's in deep trouble and will lose everything at this rate. Therefore, she takes a few steps back, and with her severed arm, only stares at her yacht, sucking all the blood from her arm, leaving it completely dry and and lifeless. After her arm falls to the ground, she realizes that this is a drag and just stares at our boy, transforming into a monster and screaming loudly while wondering what kind of power this is. But to both their surprise, the Tsuyoki begins to be shot at again. As she stares on, she starts to block those bullets, but one bullet passes through and hits her shoulder. She realizes that she has taken damage from the bullet and wonders what that is, but all of a sudden she finds herself surrounded by several armed men. And in the center of them, a girl walks, saying, "Our Father who art in heaven, we are sending these two up." And after saying that, the girl realizes that she is screwed, as she recognizes all of them. The woman in the center commands them all to shoot at her, and the man as well. And Tsuyoki and that girl start to be envied. And when the two fall to the ground, the girl tells them to stop and burn that one. And so, with the strange weapon, several darts hit her yak, and he starts to scream in pain as they begin to electrocute him. And that girl from before realizes that she is really screwed, since the sun is already rising and her skin starts to burn. And that girl asks if it is painful, saying that hell's fire will be twice as hot. Surely she is exaggerating, while that assassin says they are mere humans. As she despises them, they rush to attack her, but the girl quickly delivers a kick and crushes one of their arms as she starts to scream in pain. And she asks what she is talking about, because today she will die by her hands, and soon her friends will too. However, to the girl's surprise, she looks back and wonders what that commotion is. Everyone is scared watching their colleague get back up, even while being electrocuted. She realizes he stood up even after being hit by that. And in fact, it is more than that. She doesn't understand why he is not affected by the sun. And that girl, realizing she is distracted, sees that it's now time and breaks free from her, starting to flee when this short-haired woman thinks it's crap. She used all her remaining blood to escape from there, but still, under the sun if she pursues her, and now she manages to catch up with her, but at that moment she starts hearing the screams. The guys wonder why that bastard doesn't die. He charges at them, and when he is about to grab one of them, that woman attacks Tsuyoki, slicing his arm with her sword, and she tells them all to fall back while they say yes. Tsuyoki stares at her with his vampire eyes, and she remarks that he seems more dangerous, and with her sword, she commands him to die now. But to her surprise, Tsuyoki defends himself with his arm. While she says he's quite tough, that arm she had cut regenerates in an instant, and another one grows in its place, leaving her even more shocked. When that arm comes at her to attack, she simply faces that punch, manages to dodge it, and realizes that she's glad she didn't finish off this guy before, with her eyes shining. She activates a spell in her hand and punches Tsuyoki right in the stomach, sending him flying several meters away. And she declares that a guy like him is destined to stand out, and asks him where he has been hiding all this time, that they haven't seen him until now. But to her shock, amidst that smoke, she sees Tsuyoki and the director's blood. While she questions whether he is really sucking blood during the battle, with his body lying on the ground, he starts to huff with rage and scream in hatred, while she looks at him and says that he surely must be executed right there. So with her sword, she activates her sacred art and commands him to come at her, hoping he would charge at her so she could finish him off. But to the girl's shock, he simply falls to the ground unconscious. They ask what kind of crap that is and what is happening there. After he falls unconscious, he starts hearing a voice calling him team leader, his yoki, and when he opens his eyes, it's his boss. He wonders what the commander is doing there. Thus, the guy asks if he is awake, and from the side, the girl from before says that yes, he is already awake. Then Siak, quite surprised, asks who they are, but when he realizes he is chained up and doesn't understand what that is. But that girl looks at him and tells him to pay attention. After evaluating his conduct, they decided to kill a vampire, which surprises Siak a lot, who asks what she means. What the hell is that girl talking about? He asks how she can say vampire and says it's a joke. How can it be a vampire? Because that doesn't exist. But she asks if he really thinks so. He asks her what she is doing, but she bites her finger and shows him a drop of blood, which makes his eyes turn red. He realizes that he senses the blood and gets hungry for that blood, thinking that he wants to drink it at all costs. But after he regains his senses, she asks if he believes now. While he is very lost, he doesn't understand what just happened and declares that he can't believe it, but apparently it seems to be true. He has a video of him causing havoc on the ship, and the bodies were exactly as that person described. He asks what he is implying if he really did that. In this way, the woman asks if they issued the removal mission without knowing who Anna was, and they really are very reckless. Our boy asks if she found out that Anna is a vampire. That is something even the International Intelligence Service did not know. But she says, of course, killing vampires is the job of her Vatican squad, and according to the rules, they should have killed him too. But she will give him a unique opportunity to be her little dog. He, confused, asks what she means, and she says that from what she heard, they have a common enemy, and so she doesn't want to waste their strength fighting against each other, but to join forces and kill Anna together, just looking at him with that confident little smile. And now, in another place, inside a room, Anna says that some are taking control of the cartel and absorbing the mafia, so she asks why no one has managed to capture a single bug holding the remains of that girl who was completely dismembered. She expresses her sorrow, but Anna says that it was as expected. She shouldn't have trusted Sayla in that way. She kisses the girl, and then the girl feels something in her body, realizing that it's Anna's blood. Her limbs begin to come back, and after getting her arms and legs back, Anna says this is her last chance. The girl must bring Anna in front of her while she walks out with blood in her eyes. But what she didn't know was that there was a girl watching her from above, seeing each one of her movements. Now, inside a car, the Oyoku is copied from that girl, but he is remembering back a few days ago when she was telling him that he should die as a vampire by her hands, or he could be her puppy, and they could work together to kill Anna. From the commander, he heard that he must be careful, for it doesn't matter that he killed someone from the director's faction. There's no other choice but to aim for him too. Back to the present, that girl says that this expression says it all, and asks if it's really hard to believe that he is a vampire. But he asks her why she brought him there, and she says that if it weren't for her, all the factions would have already marked him, and in that case, it would be better for them to take revenge together. But he asks her if he can trust her, and she replies that of course not, but the enemy of your enemy is your friend, and for now, that's enough. While he remains silent, she says that there is the main base of the squad, which is a sanctuary, but the gentleman asks if that's not a cathedral, and she confirms that it is. In this way, it seems more normal, while he just stares and wonders what the hell is inside. They go inside, and he asks if they shouldn't have turned back, but she says that this isn't their destiny. Besides, the teacher is protected to have sacred facts. He can't enter there, so he asks what they should do. In that way, she told him that even if he becomes a member of the squad, for now, he is just Anna's prey, and that's why she classified him as a special case and decided to command him herself. In other words, he will have to live with her. Now, entering the fourth, she says that this hotel is affiliated with the squad, and it provides a place and leaves no records. Pausing to think, she comments that they haven't properly introduced themselves and identifies herself as a member of the Vatican's secret squad. Her name is Miro. Our boy introduces himself too, saying that his name is Kim Suyoki. Then she says that he probably has many questions and that he should feel free to ask anything. So the first question he has is about vampires, and he wants her to explain it to him. Then she says it seems he has already accepted, and she explains that as long as they continue consuming human blood, they will never die. They have physical abilities that surpass those of humans, and some vampires have unique abilities as well, most of which are derived from the blood of ancestral vampires. And now Anna is the only remaining ancestral vampire, and he realizes that it was the blood of the vampire that was. When he bit her neck, he asks how they die, and she tells him that, firstly, vampires burn to death when exposed to sunlight, except for him, which is probably why Anna is so intent on him. However, by turning this point to their advantage, they can create an opportunity to confront Anna, but to do that, he needs to become stronger. She will help him with that. Then she asks if he understands why she brought him here, and he says yes. He clearly understands now that she is afraid of him, which surprises many girls, as he says that without sunlight feeding, he could become something worse than a vampire. Letting him loose is dangerous, and killing him means losing tremendous potential, so using the common enemy as a pretext to monitor him and eliminate him if he becomes dangerous. In either case, she has nothing to lose. Then she gives a little smile and says that apparently he is not the main agent for nothing. In the end, he is still a vampire and just part of his job as a squad member, but it is also true that they want to kill Anna, and for that, they intend to make him stronger. But if he has any complaints, he should feel free to speak at any time. He says he has been dead several times, but when he can kill Anna, he doesn't care about anything else and has no intention of submitting easily. While she thinks he revealed his true intentions without further ado, still, he is willing to obey. What he means by his goal is nothing less than revenge, and she likes that boldness. It will be quite pleasant. Then she says that, well, now that introductions are over, it's time to eat, and asks him to bite her neck. He asks what she means by that, biting her neck out of nowhere, and what she means by it. Then she says that whether he like it or not, he is also a vampire, and usually the lack of blood can affect his movements. And he also seems to be seeking blood frequently in a unique way. He wouldn't want to kill innocent people. This shocks our boy a lot. Then he stands up and goes to her, and she says her neck is starting to hurt, and tells him to hurry up and drink already. He gets quite nervous, but quickly moves in on her and bites her neck. His red eyes shine again as he starts drinking her blood, thinking he is getting close and wants more and more and more. And he wants to drink all of her blood, but this way he feels something in his body, and a voice in his head tells him that it is what's expected of him. He is really interesting, yet in this way he pushes her onto the bed, which leaves her quite surprised, while he thinks that the urge for blood must be the instinct of vampires. She sits up and says that he is busy starting tomorrow, so he better sleep quickly. If he relaxes, she will definitely kill him. While he just watches her, he thinks that then he will have to drink blood, yes, every day, and his hands start to tremble, but he thinks that all of this is out of revenge, and even if he becomes a complete vampire, his heart will not change, because he wants his brothers to rest in peace. He will make sure to send that wretched soul to hell, and in silence he lies down right next to her bed and begins to sleep. However, from the girl's side, Miro stays awake, wondering why he lay down right next to her and what this guy wants. Then she stares at the room and thinks that he doesn't see that there's another room right across, and if she didn't tell him that there was another bed right there. But still, he lies down right next to her, which is unbelievable. Like a saint, sharing a bed with a man is a bit too much. Then, she gets really nervous about the situation, thinking that this fifth yokai, she did not know he was like this. He is really a depraved guy, and she wonders what kind of perverted thoughts he had. But when she turns and stares at him, he is sleeping soundly, and she realizes that it was nothing and needs to calm her mind. She starts to pray, "Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name." But at that moment, our boy can't sleep in the same corner and simply turns over, placing his arm over her, while she just says she doesn't want to fall into temptation. But she notices that Kisuyo is stroking her belly, which makes her even more embarrassed. This way, she starts to scream. And now, on the next day in a private room, she says that today she will explain how to kill a vampire. And as you know, regular weapons do not work on vampires. Our boy just stares at her with the imprint of a slap on his face. And then she says there are two effective ways to kill them. One is sunlight and the other is silver. Even touching silver can cause burns, and using silver weapons to decapitate or pierce the heart will deliver a fatal blow and kill a vampire. Then he realizes that day, that's why she didn't die, because her weapon was not silver. With that, Mirror says that besides that, vampires cannot be killed, and she asks if he has any questions before they start the training, but he asks if she didn't say her name was Mirror, and he says that then he apologizes for last night. And he has some sleeping habits. Just at that moment, she punches him in the face, but he manages to block it and asks what the hell she is doing. She becomes even more irritated and tells him to stop stalling. He should at least have the basics down, so they should start immediately. What he needs is combat experience with non-human entities, and through future fights, they will become the strongest members of the special forces. At the same time, they will gain strength as a vampire through blood. So if he understood, he should prepare himself. They've already attacked him, but he manages to block, as there are no humans stronger than them. They believe this to be true, but he was just a frog in the pond, taking a punch right to the face, while thinking that no matter how tough the road ahead might be, he will endure and survive until the end of this hell, because he is a secret agent. In this way, she says that after several months of training, he has started to make progress, and is gaining strength, but he is still far from enough. Just then, someone opens the door asking for permission. It's Miss Miro. She asks what the problem is while he apologizes for interrupting, but it seems that she needs to go to the sanctuary immediately. As she wonders what happened at the sanctuary, she turns around and says she'll be back soon and tells him to stay there. The lady puts on her outfit and asks if the sanctuary is calling for her. Clickeraya, to the side, says they didn't. Tell him the reason, and he doesn't have all the details, but she thinks she has an idea of which entity might have called her in this way. Surely they have arrived. arrive. And now, outside the hotel, a car pulls up, and a girl in the apartment above simply observes that car and begins to smell something. She says she definitely caught the scent of her yokai. He is right there. Thus, on that night, the girl introduces herself, saying that she is Bishop Mirror, and asks what brings him here. Is it the sanctuary? Thinking that he is sent directly from the Vatican, from that guy who said he is one to meet her, Bishop Mirror. He thanks her for her hard work, and they are always grateful to her. He wants to skip the formalities, get straight to the point, and asks if he really brought a vampire. And now, at night, at the hotel, a man approaches, saying he is going to check in. The attendant says, of course, and asks if he could pass his identification and how many people are in his group. He says, not many, about 200 people, while pulling out a knife and killing the attendant, shocking the attendant next to him. She starts screaming in fear, and that priest in the back says he will take care of this. The two take charge of evacuating the service and report the control passage. However, to his surprise, he saw a light in the back, and when he looks, there are several cars breaking windows and entering the hotel. Thus, several of Anna's goons, they get out of the cars and immediately charge at those three priests, while the leader asks how he dares to come there and starts killing each of them. To his surprise, the cut he made on his chest has already healed, and that guy starts to drool. With the knife in hand, he finishes off the first priest, and after they kill all of them, their boss says, gathering strength like the Vatican's brush. And it's really a nuisance, and the Lord must be somewhere around there. And if it's him who managed that, there shouldn't be any problems. Right behind them, that girl from before tells them to bring him there, claiming she worked hard looking for him and that she must be stressed and in control. Then she joins them. This girl, quite happy, asks if after this is over, they will eat until they are full. And this is the lady of the 6th squad of the Yakuza, Coco. So that girl says yes and remarks that she understands and will see her later. As she heads to the elevator, she thinks that woman is also at her post. The only ones left there are the small fish, but as a precaution, she brought subordinates who use that, and there's no way they can fail. But much to her shock, as soon as the elevator door opens, she finds 4 dead people. They ask how those guys were defeated, and she thinks there might be a high-ranking bishop inside. However, to her surprise, someone says it's been a while since she has been looking for him. When she looks, the guy appears asking if she was looking for him, and now she isn't changing to the cathedral. With that guy asking if she brought the vampire to the Vatican squad, he doesn't doubt her decision and will see the details at the next bishop's meeting. But as he thought, she asks if he has seen that. And so, she says yes, thinking that after closely monitoring for the past 3 months, there were no factors posing a threat. He has submitted himself rigorously to Vatican training, and then she says she doesn't know if he will lead them to ruin or salvation, but she has already noticed that vampires with red eyes stand upon the radiant light. Meanwhile, our boy tells that vampire that he will settle this today. After he says that, the two start to fight, and she thinks this is insane, wondering what he has been doing all this time to get so strong, while he continues to pressure her. She doesn't understand how he has become so strong. It turns out he says he will return her words exactly as she said them because she has resisted for so long. He pulls her and sweeps her legs, and when she falls to the ground, he pins her down and says this is the end. However, in that moment, she sees his movements, but to her surprise, he stops at the last instant, and she wonders what the hell happened and why he stopped attacking. Meanwhile, she thinks her body isn't moving when a new person appears behind, saying that then they are all gathered, and this woman with several giant snakes. Even while swallowing a priest, she says that this is the Tsuyoki, and that woman is the leader of the 5th squad of the Yakuza, Katarina, as our girl wonders what the hell is going on and if this is because of that woman, and if that girl gets up and tells Katarina to hurry up and go up to judge him, but she asks her to calm down, saying she doesn't need to say anything and that she was planning this anyway, already with her snake biting the neck of that girl, while she wonders what the hell she is doing. At that moment, the snake starts to coil around her, and after she is trapped, the man wonders if she is not there to help. Then she asks why she is doing it this way. Katarina says it's because she wanted a toy that is indestructible, while thinking that no matter how beautiful a human is, in the end, they always die or become ugly. So she always wanted the male vampire and didn't expect to see one so soon. If she tells Tsuyoki to come here, while he doesn't understand why his body is moving on its own, and if this is some kind of control skill, she simply places his hand on her chest and says that they grew her slaves, moving moving by her will forever. But the masked one says that Indian law won't allow this, only for Katarina to reply that she allowed it, and if they secure the Tsuyoki, it's no problem. Then she orders that she be eliminated, as she is her useless friend, while the masked one asks what she means, thinking it's a lie and that Lidiana would never say. Something like that, she simply faints, and the man wonders what the hell is going on there. But Katarina approaches her and asks how something so simple dragged on for months, and that she really resisted for so long with her useless talent. But in the end, she worked hard. Thus, she orders her snake to eat her now, saying goodbye. But to her surprise, that girl from before calls for Ayaka, and Katarina glares at her. Seeing the girl approaching, she is very happy and says that she did everything. Only to her surprise, she even hits the snake and asks what the problem is with Ayaka. Katarina said that it was his fault, and to our boy's surprise, that little girl starts to cry, while he thinks that in the end, the enemies have increased and his struggle to deal with this woman is becoming quite exhausting. After the trainer told him not to worry, as they already secured the Tsuyoki and would return to Lady Anna with the snake on her back, ready to attack her. But the girl asks if it was that guy who did this to Yaka. Katarina says yes, only to question, doubting why Yaka smells of her poison, staring at her with great anger. Katarina realizes things have gone wrong, and then the scene shifts to the past, with that Yaka saying she is scared and wants to laugh for her mother. But to her surprise, someone appears right in front of her saying they are called Coco and asking what her name is. Thus, back to the present, Yaka wakes up and asks about Coco. But she looks to the side and only sees the fifth yokai. Our boy asks if she has woken up, while she doesn't understand how he is able to move, and his quick recovery is really different. She asks how Coco is doing, and our boy says her situation is not the best. But you get up and look, seeing your friend fighting against several giant snakes. However, she manages to hold one's mouth shut and begins to scream in a rage, tearing its head off, while Suyo says she is holding up well, but that won't last long. Because of the snakes and the poison, she won't be able to get close to that woman, and her speed is decreasing due to exhaustion. Aka then says that if she keeps this up, she will die, and they need to save her. But Suyo says that in her current state, she will be dead weight, and tells her to share some information about that despicable snake woman. She asks what he means, while our boy says that if it's her friend, then they can win. She asks if he really wants to form an alliance, since he was trying to kill her not long ago. But he says that at this moment it is the best option, but she tells him not to be ridiculous and asks how she can trust him. He starts laughing, saying that then there's nothing more to do, and if Katarina thinks she's used more energy than usual and wasted a lot of blood, especially with that unexpected uselessness. She wonders why the hell she has not been poisoned yet, and how that little girl can detoxify herself from her poison. But she realizes that she must have held her breath, and that's why she couldn't poison her. And quickly, she sees the girl approaching her, punching her in the stomach. She starts to scream and is thrown out of the building. After that, the girl finally breathes, saying she would have died if this fight had lasted longer. She looks for Ayaka and asks if she is okay, and then sees Tsuyuki and Ayaka back there and says she found them. But to her shock, she falls and sees her vision blurred, and when she realizes a snake failed to bite her. Then Katarina says she underestimated too much, meaning that the two of them are close. She approaches her and says it's really interesting and will ensure that she is her friend, the one she desperately sought, that they stay together forever inside the belly of her dear snake, already heading for its mouth. However, to the girl's shock, someone cuts the snake in half, and Ayaka says they will always be together, but in the snake's stomach. Coco is very happy staring at her friend, while Katarina wonders how she detoxified from the poison that only she and Anna could neutralize. And now the scene shifts to a few minutes earlier, with our boy ready to attack her. Only to her surprise, he cuts his own hand. While she asks what he just did, he tells her that someone once said the enemy of your enemy is your friend. And for now, what you have is enough. She must be furious and betrayed after giving her all, and now she's almost losing her friend. So he understands this as well and is by her side. She just tells him to drink while remembering her friend striking the same pose as he is. And if a Sayuka appears right beside her and asks if she has ever heard the saying that the most terrifying person is the one who has nothing left to lose. So when he faces someone like that, it's inevitable that you die. Back at the cathedral, a priest appears inside and tells Bishop Mirror that they have a problem. A large number of vampires have invaded the hotel, which leaves her quite shocked. Going down, we return to our boy attacking those snakes. Kotayaka says she can transform her body into a snake and command the other snakes. If he gets bitten by one of them, the poisonous fog will paralyze his body, and he will be easily controlled in a semi-rigid state. His self, which thinks that, unfortunately, the fog doesn't last long, knows they need to close the distance between them now. He already cut some snakes, but realizes that, in the end, they are like a hydra and keep growing non-stop. Just then, that snake manages to stop his knife, and he sees others coming towards him. Seizing the moment, he sets the password and takes the initiative, cutting them all, telling him to pull himself together. He wonders if he's really going to die just because he lost his knife. She says that her powers consume blood, and these snakes won't keep growing forever. She's planning to drain his energy, so she'll deal with the snakes somehow while he helps Coco. He says he understands while alerting that girl, saying they're temporary allies. He's going to detoxify her, telling her to drink his blood. After that, he will help her and her friend. If he puts his blood into her, he says this is the only way for them to survive. In this way, she finally recovers and punches him in the face. Right on top of him, he wonders if she's being controlled, while she tells Yaka that she caught Suyok, but her friend says they need to kill Katarina along with him now. She questions if she's serious and stares at our boy, then runs away from there. Now, with the two of them together, Katarina thinks that the plan to use these two to find the Lord was perfect, but breaking the poison and using them after detoxification is what she expected from him. She definitely needs him for herself and the Lord, who she thinks is great. They are getting closer, just a little more to go, but to the surprise of the three, she increases her fog even more, and our pilot starts screaming, saying that the fog is approaching. He holds his breath, and Yaka says that either way, the fog will dissipate soon. The reason the smoke screen is happening is that he is planning to eliminate all of them at once. While our pilot thinks that he probably includes the target and Yaka, who is fast and someone who fights alone and trusts in Yaka, the main prey for her is Coco, who has already charged at her, and Katarina asks how she is going to get her hands on her body, as she is going to kill her first. But at that moment, Yaka jumped in her direction, protecting Coco, and her friends start screaming. The man who cuts those snakes says that he anticipated her reaction, and that if she aims for Coco, certainly one of them would get hit, and from him, he only tells her to come quickly because he is going to give her some blood, but she says she doesn't need it. But he told her that time is essential and urged her to hurry. But when they look, they are surprised, as that snake that bit her had something special. When Coco looks, she says it can't be. This can't be real. Already with Suyoki's silver knife embedded deep in her chest. And now the scene shifts to another flashback from the past, with Yaka remembering that when she was a child, her father apologized to her, and she would have to listen to what this man has to say from now on. Her mother asked if she understood, while she thought she had been sold, as her parents were drug addicts. In the group of various children, a man said that this is the red one, and they must be good friends with the red one, while they injected vampire blood into the children. She began to scream in pain after that operation, while she remembered that the daily repetition of experiments with medication made everyone start to become stranger and stranger, and one by one, they died, and that was terrifying for her. As time passed, she thought it would be better if she were the only one to freeze to death right there. But to her surprise, someone caught her attention, introducing herself as Coco, and she remembered that this was fascinating. She could smile amidst that chaos, even in hell, and because of her, she also laughed along. The days that passed were hell, but they could endure it because they were together, trusting each other. But that little happiness didn't last long, with that guy saying to isolate the individuals according to their dosage, control group to the left and experimental group to the right. It was on that day that they were separated, but Yaka threw her jacket to her and told her to keep wearing that as she would be sure to find her. And so happy, Yaka said she understood. A few years later, Micah still trapped. Someone told her that they would be there from now on, but to her surprise, she saw her old jacket and recognized Coco, asking if she was alive. She thought she would never see her again, but when she saw her friend, she looked like a completely different person. While Coco asked who she was, Yaka, very surprised, said she was someone who wanted to be her friend, thinking that she had saved her back then, and now she would have to protect her. And finally, they managed to survive that hell. But in the end, that was all. And if someone told them that one side was physically unstable and the other mentally unstable, then what was the difference between them and humans? And why should they continue to let them live? And why not just kill them? Without Ayaka, she realized that another hell had begun, and she intended to die if she did not meet their expectations. She could be discarded at any moment, but as long as she could live with her, that level of humiliation would not let her fall. And if she remembered once again the conversation she had with Tsuyuki, he offered his blood to her, and when he landed his wings right in front of her, she thought she finally understood. She thought that, for the first time in her life, someone understood her. And in the end, it was for him, her enemy, that her body broke into several pieces. And then it is said that, to survive, she had dirtied her hands countless times and could do nothing. But if it were him, he would succeed. And then she asks him to listen carefully and tells him some information and simply kisses his mouth. And before dying, she thanks him and extends her hand to Koko, asking her not to cry, for they would always be together. And after Ayaka vanishes, only her clothes remain. Yako, filled with rage, starts shouting and calls for her friend's name. And without Katarina, she says, poor Ayaka, she spent her life supporting her friend, but in the end, she died because of her. And she asks if they now realize that resistance is useless and that they should go straight to Anna, for she will treat them well, unlike those other guys. And that is what she says she understands. And Katarina asks if he is serious, and he answers that he understands Ayaka and that he knows what he needs to do. She realizes that apparently he is talking to himself, but Goku told her to bring her back, and she wants Ayaka back. Already rushing towards Katarina, while she is confident, thinks she is very weak. But to the surprise of the three, a holy light appears between them, and they ask what just happened, but they realize it is the Vatican, and the Lord thinks they have finally come, and that this power must be Miro's, and asks Miro to calm down now, for the girl is not her enemy. But to his surprise, he sees a shot aimed at him and quickly manages to dodge, asking why they are shooting at him. But to the surprise of the three, someone says she is full of vampires, but she asks them not to worry, for she will purify all of them, and Katarina thinks it is an attack full of divine powers, even her eyes shaped like crosses. And there is no doubt for her, this woman is a bishop, and without that blonde getting closer, she says they have the courage to attack a hotel near the Vatican headquarters. Thus, Katarina, smiling, says that the only one with courage there is her, for she brought a bunch of puppets, already casting her mist over them all, and God Fiuk commands them to hold their breath and signal the mist. They froze, they will be her slaves. Quickly, Katarina advances towards that blonde, asking how she will block this, but to her surprise, it appears to be a barrier. She asks, is it just to block like this? While she extends her hand and destroys the head of that snake. Our boy thinks that she can handle these snakes easily, and that this woman is really strong. Meanwhile, she, with her eyes shining, asks, who's next? When the mist fades, our boy thinks that the woman has disappeared, and there are no poisonous clouds beyond the heads of the snakes. Klebis earlier begins to feel quite sad, wondering where she went, and asks her team members where that woman could have gone, while they tell her to calm down. But our boy thinks that the snake head she cut off looked a bit strange, and that she must have hidden and escaped through the snake's head. The girl says she understood and thanks him. She says they need to chase her quickly, but before that, they must shoot at them. Quickly, Shuck grabs a coconut and runs to protect himself, while she says she will kill him without any pain since he was a good vampire. But Siuk says he is not an enemy and that he is an ally of Miro. She said that the Vatican does not negotiate with vampires, and besides, saying he is an ally of her sister Miro is a bit ridiculous. The gentleman wonders if perhaps the Vatican has shared misinformation and how they can avoid misunderstandings. Then he told her that he would prove it and says 4,701. She asks what that was out of nowhere, and he says it's the room where he's living with Miro. She simply halts her holy energy and is very surprised, wondering if her sister Miro is really living with a vampire. This question, how long has this been going on? God Fuchs said that today Miro is wearing black pants, which shocks that girl a lot. After some time, that bishop heads towards the hotel and realizes that it has indeed been attacked. She begins to run, saying that these vampires suck. They took advantage of her absence and attacked the hotel, but she thinks she can't let them take Siuk. She calls out for him, saying she heard that the strong vampire has arrived and asks what the situation is, but she faces the three and does not understand what the hell that is. Then she says that she accuses, and three vampire leaders entered. One of the leaders was killed after they separated, one fled, and another was captured. She says they really escaped by a hair. This time, if he had fallen into Anna's hands, it would have been a disaster. This reveals what they discovered while she was away. And then they came to attack her, and apparently their reforms are no joke. This hotel is no longer safe, and she says that they definitely need to change locations and cannot be apart for a single moment. Then she looks at him and feels quite satisfied as she says that the guy who almost died is facing the vampire for the first time. She mentions that it was against 3 and he still came out alive, and the combat training that goes beyond human strength and speed, of course, also getting stronger through blood consumption. Even if he is a bit slow, if he keeps getting strong like this, he will eventually be able to kill Anna. That's when she says that from now on she cannot leave her post carelessly, while she starts yelling at him, asking what he means and if he wouldn't go if his superiors called him. But he says there's something she needs to know and that he obtained important information. She asks what it is, and he tells her that as a vampire, he knows a way to get stronger faster than Anna, which shocks the girl immensely. She says that the lady from the 7th squad of the Yakuza, Ayaka, gave him this information, and she mentioned it just before she was killed. The more vampire blood they consume, the stronger they become. So even if he gets strong with the current method, it will still be impossible to fight Anna. But if it's vampire blood, that's a different story. By consuming vampire blood, you can steal the power they have accumulated, and if certain conditions are met, you may even gain abilities. He asks him to wait and says he can't trust this source of information and questions what the conditions are. The requirement for the abilities doesn't seem clear, but he says it's definitely worth a try, as after drinking Ayaka's blood, the bullets seemed to slow down, and he was able to use the new ability for a moment. This means that Anna has 7 vampires under her command, and now he knows exactly what he needs to do. He has to drink the blood of all her vampire subordinates. She says she understands, so he brought that information for this reason. While she is there, trapped in bed, Mira says that he is that thing, has several now, and the bishop's council is about to be held. Our boy asks what that is, and she says it's the meeting where the bishops of the Vatican gather, and they usually discuss Anna's forces situation. Only meanwhile, on the other side of the room, that boy doesn't want to believe it, as it can't be true. While she hears Suik saying that she gives it to him every day, and what she means by reward, while angrily asking what she means by every day and what it is that she gives him. In this way, our boy starts consuming her blood, and Mira said that he really has changed since the beginning. Back then, he struggled to contain his emotions, but now he seems to be doing it quite calmly. Our boy just told her that if it hurts, all she has to do is inform him. It surprises the girl a lot, thinking a lot of nonsense, believing that maybe they are doing something indecent, and she doesn't understand what is really happening with her sister Miro. Only she hears another conversation with her asking if she should also call her sister Lucia, but first she will ask for her opinion before, which shocks the girl a lot, who wonders what they are saying about calling her and what they want her to do with them. And moreover, the old man, his nose starts to bleed more and more. This is Miro. She opens the door and calls for Lucia, and only sees her in a pool of blood, very embarrassed. And in this way, Lucia goes to Miro saying that she saw her at the bishop's meeting, but he stared at our boy quite angrily and already drives away in the car. Then she says the light is gone too, and now the problem is her. Then Coco says she shouldn't think too highly of herself just because she is a bishop, since she is still nothing, and orders fresh blood to be brought to her and a place to rest now, and then she will have the joy of being her servant. But quickly, Suki punches her in the head, telling her to shut up, and Miro asks if this thing is really going to be useful. And Suki said that, as he said before, he needs vampire blood, and if we consider her an enemy, draining her blood before eliminating her is all they can do. But if they keep her as an ally, she will naturally keep asking for blood, considering her ability to find it and her fighting skills. She will definitely be useful. She says that is true, but asks if they can really control her, while the color that hides behind him says that, as expected of the Vatican, they are very violent. And Miro asks why she is nice to him, and Suki says he doesn't know and looks at her. And because of that, he was consumed by rage when his companions died. He killed the director and his team members who sacrificed him and his team. He killed them all, and a girl who lost her only friend is surely also broken inside. He calls her and says they will kill her former master, Anna, and it would be good to have her help in this process, but she is absolutely not necessary and can die as a vampire or seek revenge for her friend along with them. He asks her to choose, and she says she hated Anna, who always made things difficult for Ayaka, and she hates the Vatican even more because they hurt Ayaka, but she cannot forgive those who killed her, and if they kill that bastard Anna, she will do anything for them. And Suki asks what Miro thinks about this, this, while she says she understands and says that this girl should be accepted into their group and now it is their responsibility. So if she loses control or hurts someone, they will deal with her immediately, and Miro thinks she shouldn't have said those words, because that creature gives a lot of headaches, and as someone who kills vampires, she has to take care of that little dog, but she thinks that in the end, it's because the Tsuyuki can consume their blood, but she wants to think positively for now, and all of this is for a greater good. At that moment, a bit of shampoo lands right in Coco's eye, and while Silvio is cleaning his knife, he hears a scream and she starts yelling, saying that woman put poison in her eyes, in the Tsuyuki saving, already running from the bathroom, but Miro grabs her and tells her not to leave until she is clean. While our boy remembers the past with his friends, one of them tells him that he should be the team leader of Tsuyuki now, but he just asks them to stop because it's embarrassing. They happily say that he should treat them better since now he is their team leader, and he asks if he is only the leader at these times. The commander comes in and says they should laugh together with him, and back. Then our boy was quite happy, but they ask when that was and when it was so loud. And now, at the end of the day, Miro, in her bed, thinks this is insane as hell and that she has no ears for her, but she hears the Tsuyuki well, and she is basically a little puppy, with Suki telling her to sit, then to put on her clothes, and then she takes her there and dries her hair. She wonders if maybe she is like this because she hurt her friend before, and she remembers Coco telling her that she couldn't forgive those who killed her friend, and if they kill Anna, she will do anything they want. She thinks that having lost something precious to her and being thrown alone into enemy territory, she can't help but be sensitive and should understand that. But to her surprise, she feels the bite, and when she realizes Coco is biting her hand, she asks what she is doing and she just says she is hungry. Miro gives a little smile and then grabs her sword, and there, our boy is sleeping peacefully, but wakes up to a lot of noise, with Miro saying that she is finally showing her true face in the week that she dies, but he doesn't even want to worry about that and just lays down again, thinking about what he is thankful for her hard work. However, while he sleeps, someone appears in his bed and it's Coco saying that the Tsuyuki, this guy, is hers. And now at dawn, our boy wakes up and realizes there's something on his sheet, and when he looks, it's Coco sleeping on top of him. He wonders what she is doing there, thinking it's dangerous to stay there because of the sunlight. And in the week that Coco wakes up, at that moment she hugs him once more, forcing her body against the bed, and he asks what the hell she is doing suddenly, but he notices some strange sounds, and when he sees she is crying, talking about Ayaka, and he realizes he understood. He drank Ayaka's blood, that he has her scent, and that's why she follows his orders so well, and he understands what it's like to lose a precious companion. And he understands that too, and he says that it's okay. Now everything is fine. He is there. And now back to training. Our boy continues training with Miro. She goes to punch him, but he manages to dodge and then tries to punch her back. He manages to grab her hand, saying that he suddenly improved and his reactions are definitely faster than before. Our boy says he thinks this is thanks to Yaka's blood, and she says it's good and that she needs to use this to her advantage. He asks what she means, and she says that today is the day of the bishop's meeting, which surprises our boy. She mentions that his existence is still not official, but today will be the day to decide on his official dismissal, if he is considered inadequate by the order, which would of course result in his immediate execution. But she asks him to stay calm, as she believes he has plenty of potential, attracting hidden vampires, as well as a rapid growth to compete with the captains in a short time, and contribute to the order with these two things. Since he thought that to end the crusade by killing Anna, she believes they will accept him. She asks if he is not confident in what happened, and he says he was strong enough as a human, and now that he has learned to become stronger as a vampire, killing Anna is just a matter of time. We have many things to do, so they should finish this bishop's meeting now. They prepare and head towards the meeting. It happens that he thinks it's Anna, the squad leaders, and he who became a vampire for the Vatican are all demons from the same hell. If the Vatican is going to use him, then he will use the Vatican and doesn't care either way, as he just wants his own revenge against that bitch who destroyed his life. He has already taken down 2 of the 7 leaders, and now he is just 5 steps away from Anna. He needs to drain the blood of all of them to get stronger, and now you haven't changed to Katerina, saying that so that's what she thinks. About Anna, she asks what she means, and Katerina says that well, since Eka's death was confirmed, Coco is probably with the Vatican, but she doesn't say no. She doesn't want to know about her and cares about Tsuyuki. Katerina said yes, exactly as she planned. He is growing well and neutral neutralize the poison that had transformed him. She will give a little smile, saying that he will come to them without even needing to intervene, and until then, she should focus only on this, showing a vial of blood to her, as her mission now is to focus on the bishop's meeting. Arriving at the cathedral, Miro says it will be held there, and Tsuyuki asks if this is the same sanctuary they saw before. She says that this cathedral is beneath the Vatican and also serves as a regular cathedral for gathering information, since he cannot enter the sanctuary. With the sacred artifacts arranged to happen there just for him, our boy mentions the efforts, but he questions why they need to go so far, while she states it was an order, instructing to keep him under control, and she cannot do anything. There will be bishops who will be hostile towards him, but she remarks that even so, he is better than Coco. However, to the surprise of both, someone appears behind them calling for Miro. He asks if this guy is her vampire, and after looking at him, he sees he is the copycat of a little girl. He asks again if he is her vampire, and she says she has been calling him Bishop Dominique for a while, to which he agrees that it has indeed been a long time. He stares at our boy and asks if he was Yoki, a vampire who was a black agent. He questions if he is now trying to enter the Vatican, and to our boy's surprise, he places a hand on his shoulder and says, "This is great news," stating he will be a good addition to his combat power. She really found a gem, and says it was during the mission, saying he fought toe-to-toe with the squadron captains. This bishop teases our boy, asking if he fought against those weaklings. He says he would have liked to burn all vampires, but it's really a shame he wasn't there. After burning his shoulder a bit, he just says, sorry, apologizes, and mentions that it doesn't matter now. It was nice to meet him and he'll see them later at the meeting. He merely calls Hilda to accompany him, while the little girl, very happy, says yes. She turns to Miro, saying it's been a while since they last saw each other. He looks at our boy and greets him too, asking Miro if this girl is really a bishop. She confirms, saying it's a special case, as she is a little different and he must have sensed that too. But for most Vatican members, he is a thorn in their sides. There are people like Dominic, but some can be more aggressive. To Miro's surprise, someone comes running toward her, and when she realizes it, it's that blonde girl. She asks what the light is doing there, saying it seems she has seen her several times lately. The girl, very happy, asks if Miro doesn't like that. The boy looks at her once more and then turns to Miro, asking if she has seen Miss Cecilia. The girl replies no, and Lucia says she thinks she should be more careful with her. Miro asks why, and the blonde says she hates vampires more than anyone, and no matter how much I think of Hudivadi Kano, she will strongly assume so. The friend puts her hand on her head and thanks her for the warning, but asks not to worry, as they both have different opinions, but she is still more qualified as a beatbox. Just then, King Tsuyoke arrives, sensing a presence, and calls out for Miro. When the girl realizes a surge of power goes towards King Tsuyoke, and Miro rushes in to defend that power. And Lucia asks if she is okay, and Mira asks what the hell she is trying to do, just staring at Cecilia as she approaches, saying she is fulfilling her duty as a bishop, and asking what she is doing as a bishop that protects people from vampires, because she is protecting the vampire. She ties her hair back and says she doesn't need any more introductions, ordering her to get out of the way, but Lucia asks her to calm down, as they brought him there at the cardinal's request. But Cecilia says that this is her job and tells her to get lost. Then Mira says this is getting interesting and says she can't back down. She asks what she will do, and Cecilia, extremely angry, moves towards her, saying she warned her while activating her power, asking them to calm down. But Mira just tells her to relax and, with her sword, says she will pay in the same coin, with both already charging at each other. With the clash of their powers, a huge explosion occurs. Only what they didn't expect is that someone was right in the middle of them, asking what kind of mess this is. And Mira looked at her very surprised, and so did Cecilia, seeing that she had stopped their powers with her hands, while the Juice wonders how she blocked that impact and if it really is that easy. He doesn't know who this woman is, and they all kneel before her, welcoming your majesty, the cardinal, with this new woman just staring at the three and calling her Helena. And without the girl apologizing for her earlier misbehavior, Helena says it's alright, as she can clearly see the reason, staring at our guy. Then she turns around and asks them to enter the meeting room. They say yes, but Cecilia, beside her, calls out to Mira and says she thinks this won't just be a meeting, but an execution trial, and if she doesn't have a good reason, this guy will die by her hands today. After she leaves, Lucia calls her to go along, and Mira just stares at that girl, thinking she needs to stay focused, as if something goes wrong. What she taught will cause Coco to die there. And now inside, Helena says they will start their bishop's meeting. She says it's been a while and hopes everyone is well. Then Cecilia raises her hand and asks if she can interrupt for a moment. Helena asks what it is, and she says she apologizes but needs to ask why a filthy vampire is present in this sacred place. Mira realizes that she has gone straight to the point, and Helena says she is sure everyone was surprised by the agenda and that this subject is the main concern for everyone present there. They were all informed and she would like to hear each of their opinions. Cecilia, very angry, asks how it can be that there is a vampire in the Vatican. This is absolutely unacceptable, and that guy says he can't trust him. They are easily controlled by anger and desire. The little girl, quite sad, says she is not sure about this, and they ask about Lucia. They heard that she spoke with him. You confirm that she did, and the first time she talked to him was when Anna's squad leader attacked the hotel. At that moment, it was about her own life to defend the base, and he also helped the allied members. Since they received no information about him, they ended up attacking, but even if he had the capacity to retaliate, he never fought against them. Dominique is quite surprised, as he wasn't expecting this. She only says that besides that, his is under the control of Bishop Myro, and she remarks that it makes sense, given they are both. Yet she starts thinking about strange things and blood begins to flow from her nose. Once again, saying that with this, she concludes her testimony, and now it's Miro's turn. She states that she believes in what she dreamed, but still questions why she thinks it's necessary from the Vatican. She responds that it's because she saw his revelation. Cecilia starts to laugh, saying she was thinking about what she would do to defend him, but she is deeply disappointed in her. The revelation shows two things: the birth of one of their own, the chosen ones, and the warning of an imminent threat. This revelation clearly means they need to kill him, and if that guy ruthlessly killed his own companions, he starts to say that they attacked his team. Cecilia, very angry, tells him to shut up, as dirt like him has no right to speak. He just stares at her with great anger. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Coco is opening her eyes and wonders where she is, as she is very hungry, and out of so much hunger, she says she wants to drink blood, but she gave the best hint. Therefore, Suyo was the one who was truly betrayed. The lives of the agents would continue to be sacrificed. Cecilia, very angry, says it doesn't matter, as he remains a vampire. The will passed by them is clear: to exterminate their race. Miro says she is right, as to exterminate the vampires, they need to deal with Anna and her subordinates. She already asks if anyone there can make them come on their own, since the Vatican was established by St. Peter, with 2,000 years of history. Thanks to the dedication and sacrifice of the Vatican members, it only records Anna of the ancestral vampire. However, Anna cunningly hides in the shadows, expanding her power while fleeing from them, but suddenly, those who were hiding began to appear, thanks to the appearance of Quinsuyo. Since his arrival, the leader of the 7th squad has been annihilated. The leader of the 6th squad has joined them. Then everything that was still now started to move rapidly. They now have the opportunity to rid themselves of the tough race, more than 2,000 years in their own generation. And sometimes he asks what she is talking about, and it really is nonsense. And how did the 6 join them? She has completely lost her mind and tells Cardinal Miro to strip her of her position and execute the 2 vampires immediately. But Helena says that the declaration is somewhat bold. However, it is worth considering because of that man. Anna showed her weakness for the first time, and maybe this is an opportunity. She is about to form an experimental unit. Cecilia asks what she means, and Helena says she cannot ignore the legitimacy either. If more than half of the bishops agree, it will be implemented. However, those who supported this decision will have to take responsibility for it, and they tell me they understand. Cecilia, trembling with rage, says she can consider 100 times that whatever she dreamed is still acceptable, but Anna's self-subordinate is a completely unacceptable woman. He still said he heard she is a bit aggressive and cannot be controlled, and she wants to see her to judge for herself. When they bring the leader of the 7th squad, a guy quickly enters the room saying they have a big problem. He apologizes, but it is urgent. He doesn't ask what is happening and says that the vampire known as the leader of the 7th squad, Coco, has just escaped. After, he says that it surprises all of them greatly. Cecilia, extremely angry, asks what just happened, while Miro says capturing her is the priority, and still in daylight, so she cannot escape. But Domingo says that if she escapes from the base, it will be a disaster. The places she might go could be there, or the orphanage, where there are several children, and a sleeping child is opening the door. He wants to go to the bathroom, but to his surprise, Coco is right there in front of him. However, the girl next to Dominique just tells him to wait a moment and angrily asks where she went. Meanwhile, Yuki just stares at that girl girl, wondering what the hell is going on, and the atmosphere around her has changed. Dominique just asks her to calm down, as her brothers will be fine, and she needs to control her emotions. But he thinks it is too late and just stares at a magic circle in front of him, thinking it is about to explode. He warns everyone to be careful with that, and from that half circle of magic, a hand with a gigantic sword emerges, which surprises Lucia greatly, calling for her sister Miro. But Linda asks Bishop Miro if everything is alright after defending that great sword, and she says yes, Grace Cardinal. Lucia asks what happened to her arm, but the Cardinal tells Lucia to go to the orphanage first. And also, Bishop Dominique must take care of Bishop Hilde, and since you are someone she trusts, perhaps it is possible. The rest of them will go to the orphanage, along with Miro, and if that vampire causes any trouble, she will hold her accountable. Miro says she understands, while Cecilia just stares at them and starts running to the orphanage, thinking she knew this would happen. That girl is a vampire on the level of a Yakuza squad leader, and her true nature hasn't changed. If anything happens, to her surprise, she sees the light ahead and wonders what she's doing standing there. She has a strange feeling, thinking she's standing there staring at all the dead. She runs ahead, questioning what the hell the vampire did to shock her. That little boy is right on top of Coco, and the boy looks at Cecilia and asks if she wants to come in and play with them too. They ask what the hell that is, and if she is really a squad lady. The girl steps forward and asks what Coco is doing and what happened to the children. At that moment, Coco sees her arm cut and jumps in front of her, asking for just a sip of her blood, but Miro says no. Cecilia very angrily says that this is obvious and that the vampire is like this, with Coco asking for a sip of her blood. Cecilia, very angry, says she will eliminate her right now. Coco asks what she means by that, since Tsuyuki told her not to drink other people's blood. This surprises many of them, and Cecilia wonders if she is really under control and how the vampire could be like this. Miro asks if she can then drink hers. At this moment, Dominique holds Cecilia's arm and she calls him Master Domingo, saying that there are children watching and that she should deactivate her power. And it's the little girl from earlier who approaches everyone, asking if they are all okay. They call her Sister Yudi, and she tells them to be happy that they are safe. The boys say that Sister played with them, and it was a lot of fun. She asks, which sister? And he points to Coco, speaking with Miro, saying that the sister with the red eyes let them climb on her back, and they also had fun playing together, which surprises the girl a lot. She is very happy about this and stands up to Miro, already hugging her and apologizing, saying she got hurt because of her. But Miro just says she was only worried about her siblings, that it's no problem as it wasn't intentional. Thus, he just stares at Coco, thanks the girl, but Coco only says she just wants a sip of her blood. Quickly, Tsuyoki punches Coco in the head, telling her to shut up. Now, back at the meeting, Helena says it has been confirmed that both vampires can be controlled, the Order of Bishops agreeing. They will proceed with the operation of the experimental unit, which includes vampires, and she asks if they have any objections. But Cecilia, quite sad, says she has none, and Selena responds that very well, and states that with that, Bishop Miro will be appointed the leader of Team Miro's squad, alongside Kisuyo. The vampire Coco concludes the meeting. That girl and the bishop leave, and she waves goodbye to Miro. She was going to tell her sister Miro that she is hurt, so she shouldn't overexert herself. Miro says yes, and Lucia asks her to let her know if those guys did anything, as she will rush to deal with them. So she asks her to be careful, but behind them, Cecilia appears asking for Miro. When Lucia turns around, she asks what she wants, and Cecilia says that the true mission of her crusade is to save people from vampires, and if one day those scum violate this noble mission, she will kill them all to fulfill her duty. Then she leaves now and asks them to pay close attention. Now in Russia, in Vladivostok, inside a bar, a hooded man approaches an old man, saying it's been a while since they last met, calling him Ivan, and says he needs his help. The old man replies that he only contacts him in situations like this, which is a bit disappointing. But anyway, he asks if he hasn't forgotten that he is the one who gouged his eye out. This is the mafia boss, Ivan, and he says he will never forget the day he lost his boss and his eye to him. He really has the guts to show up there, asking him who he is, and our boy just stares at at him while the old man asks why he came to Russia, recalling the meeting with that same one, mentioning that recently the Academy invaded the hotel and showed signs of vampires. They are conducting an autopsy, but contrary to what they expected, they were all humans. But there was a peculiar detail. There were drugs that were apparently related to the abilities detected in their bodies. A month ago, the Russian branch was destroyed by the mafia, and the same drug was found in the bodies of the mafiosos back then. The activities of the Yakuza in Russia have also been tracked, and an investigation into Anna and the drug is necessary. He secured a place to stay, so they must begin the mission immediately. So at the Allied Hotel of the Crusade, at the Vlad Stark branch, Miro and Coco are in the hotel room, and when our girl appears, she asks what it is. She thought he would return after causing a great commotion, but he seems clean. The man said he received the location of the hideout where the negotiations with the accusations are made. He has already planned the operation, so he will explain it to her now. So we return with caution, and Miro mentions that he ripped out his eye, and even so, how he easily gave him the information. But our boy asks her if she didn't want him to do this business, and the Yakuza and Ravan are hostile forces, and she should watch her operation closely now. After he explains to her, she says it's as expected of special people. She is very excited, says she will go, and asks what she should do. However, to her surprise, she is dressed in a completely different way and asks why she should wear something like that. Swick tells the bishop that this is essential for her squad, which is made up of disguised vampires. He asks if she really wants to keep the priest's robe while carrying a longsword to enter a club considering her injuries. That's the best option, and she says she can accept the lenses and the wig, but asks if there isn't a better outfit. However, as soon as she doesn't move forward, the security guard stops her and says that her company's garments made it difficult to enter according to the regulation. Miro, overhearing, asks Sweek what they should do, and our boy tells Coco, overhearing her, to resolve this situation, so she unzips her shirt and shows her cleavage. The security guard just stares at them and then says they are both allowed in, which surprises Miro greatly, and our boy, overhearing, says that now they are inside. Then he hopes each of them completes their mission, and from now on, the operation started with Miro inside, very surprised, wondering if this is really a club, and looking around, she questions if these people aren't corrupt bastards. She is very shocked by that situation, wondering how she should blend in with it. Just then, someone taps her shoulder from behind and says hi, calling her beautiful. And then she asks herself if that's English. The blonde guy says they have a room there and asks what she thinks. She is very embarrassed and wonders what he means by room. She says it's fine. Then the guy grabs her arm and says that now they will go, but she just asks him not to touch her. Meanwhile, our boy thinks there is no need to send many troops, but he can't see a single ant anywhere. This place is completely dead, and there is no one until they reach the deepest point of that location. However, to his surprise, someone appears behind him, and when he looks, he says he understands, and there are several weapons armed with red eyes. Our boy said that then this was a trap, and back there is Ivan, saying he has waited long for this day. Lady Katerina promised. She said that if he brought him to her, he could be the boss of this place, and it would be better if he accepted quietly. They are all somewhat equipped with silver ammunition, and he shouldn't worry about his girlfriend, but her drink has also been spiked. And Miro is already completely asleep with that guy moving in on her, and even Coco is dancing alone on the dance floor. And if Ivan says he's completely worn out, he's taking off his hat and saying that, but before he kills him, he asks if they still don't have matters to settle with his one remaining eye, totally red. Now the scene shifts to a few hours earlier, with the guy explaining to the major about his operation, saying that they will filter in at that location, but that's what they want. And what he wants to do is make it seem like they were tricked into going to the spot, and they're going to ambush them and say that he's done for. After our boy confirms everything, he thanks him for sticking to the plan, and the old man, quite surprised, asks what he means by that. And our boy said that when he was assigned to the mission to eliminate Anna, he investigated them when they distributed their products. They don't collaborate with other existing forces. Instead, they just absorb them, and these products were being exchanged in their territory and are worth the price. So he knew everything, that this organization had been swallowed by the Yakuza, even about their trap, but he says that even so, he can't do anything, and they must turn him into a disgraceful pile of dust. They start filling our boy with bullets, but Tsuyuki runs towards him while the old men ask if he's really planning to attack directly. The burned one is full of silver bullets, and if they hit him, he's going to end up dead. Just that way, the bullets are very close to him, but our boy, quickly using the ability he recently acquired, manages to block them, while the old men ask if he's really deflecting the bullets. bullets with just a simple knife. Suyuki is already right in front of that shooter, and the old man, completely shocked, wonders what that is. While she was on the dance floor, Coco continues dancing, but she receives a call. She asks what it was, and the man says it's time to act. He smells Miro's blood, and she says that's fine, and just takes off her clothes, leaping out of the place. Now, back to our boy. That old man said he made a mistake, and it seems like he's trying to understand what he was planning to do by kidnapping that woman. And they sent a companion, especially a woman, straight into enemy territory, and he's really an idiot. They shouldn't know what he's going to do before the supply. And no matter what they do at this moment, his girlfriend must be unconscious, completely overwhelmed by cuteness. But then he gets shot in the shoulder, and our boy asks if he forgot who he is. He's certainly calm. This isn't the time to worry about others. While she thinks she doesn't need to worry about it, and if that guy from before says she is really charming with her mother, he will touch her. But at that moment, she grabs his hand. He is surprised, asking what that is, while he begins to twist his arm. The guy starts to scream, and when the other one looks, he wonders what it is, but receives a kick right in the face, throwing him against the car. Several guys jump out of the cars, saying it's an ambush. They should get down and ask how a bastard dares to do this. But to their surprise, Mirror, angered by this, and with her foot glowing, kicks the car, sending them all flying away, while she remembers Suyuki's words, saying that these bastards will use tricks to make her lose consciousness, and she should just pretend to have fallen for their tricks. Then they will take her body to the real negotiation place, and at that moment, Coco will track her, and she must wait for them. But Miro asks if she's sure they will approach her, and our boy says that's why there is something she needs to wear. She, very angry, says she really has nothing to say now. With her arm still hurt, she says that just by walking, she's still bleeding a little, while she remembers once again Suki telling her she is injured and that she shouldn't overexert herself, just waiting for them. She thinks that according to Suki's plan, she should escape, and she definitely heard that guy saying it would be the last time. She thinks that surely there are more people who were captured before her and might be going through something terrible right now. She mentally apologizes to Suyuki and remembers Cecilia's words, saying her mission is to save people from vampires. While she thinks that, even if there's hell down there, she needs to save the people because it's part of the Vatican, she moves towards a door and wonders why they are kidnapping these people. Many cars left the club, but only a few are here, which means there are more places where people are being abducted. She doesn't understand what their purpose is and why there is a surgery room there and so many cells, but why is there no one around? On the ground, she notices a vial and wonders what it is. There's something written that it was blood. To Mirror's surprise, someone behind her says it's really interesting and asks how she got there. All the human women should be in coffins now, and she asks who it is. In this way, Mirror thinks she sneaked up on her without making a sound, and she must be Lady Daya. Katarina asks who she is once again, and the bishop says it's up to the leader now. While she is unarmed and wounded, it's truly something bad, but even if her life ends as she wishes, she must fulfill her duty until her last breath. And so, she turns and starts removing her wig, saying that she is a bishop from the Vatican Special Task Force. Mira and Katarina say that she is the wretched one controlling Suyak. Miro thinks that if she dies there, Suyak must take care of the rest, moving up that pile of snakes. And so, Coco outside begins to sense Miro's smell and thinks she has found her. Our boy understands that this is the real base, and now that she has reunited with Miro, they can proceed with the plan. But Coco says she is not sure from here on out. Suyak asks if she can't smell her blood, but she replies that it's the opposite. Behind that door, there is the smell of blood emanating. Our boy, quite surprised, wonders what that is, but he realizes it's Miro's phone, with a voice message apologizing for going against the plan, but it seems there are hostages. There, he can't just stand by and mentions the task force. There are several vampire people, and saving lives comes before their own or the task forces, so she hopes he handles the mission without failing, and as her partner, she believes in him. Suyak says that now they need to speed up. They need to find Miro, but in that moment, Coco grabs Suyak and says that the smell is the same one they encountered when they came with Red. Our boy asks what Red is, and she says there is a vampire there. He asks if she is really saying that the leader is there, and he questions how many there are. She says there are two, and the the other one is also a leader, but she doesn't know. While our boy observes her completely in panic, feeling a wave of anxiety, he opens the door and says there is no time. He doesn't know who is downstairs, but Miro is in danger. As he walks, thinking that something is wrong, these facilities show no signs of recent use. Right behind him, Coco says they should turn back, now because she doesn't like this place, but he just asks her to hold on a little longer as he will rescue the kidnapped people and also Miro. It might be difficult, but she must try. To his surprise, he sees blood on the floor, and when he looks, there is a trail of blood leading to a location. These are marks of a person being dragged with no signs of resistance, meaning the hostages have been drugged. He tells Coco that they must be with the people, but Coco, very nervous, speaks that this is Miro's blood, which shocks our boy, realizing this means she has been captured, and they both start running, following the trail of blood, wondering if she went towards the leader. And he told her not to push herself too hard because of her injuries. At that moment, he opens the door and, with his gun, shouts for Miro, but to his shock, he sees several women in a water capsule and wonders what this place is and what the hell they are doing there. He questions whether they are actually conducting human experiments, but Goku says they are taking drugs, and that hurts. Oh, and she also hated those drugs here. Our boy asks if that's where they received the drugs, and now he understands those bastards are kidnapping people and using them as guinea pigs just to create more vampires. The substance being injected is probably the one they are investigating. If they rescue everyone there and investigate this facility, they might discover who these guys are. But first, he needs to find Miro and ask Coco to keep looking for her. However, taking a step forward, someone asks if he is searching for her with Miro right in front of him, trapped by Katarina. Our boy asks what she did to her, but she tells him to calm down, as she doesn't intend to kill her just yet. What she wants isn't that bitch's body, because she will connect it when she's ready to swap bodies with her, but he tells her not to talk nonsense. Right next to him, a woman bangs on the capsule, and Katarina says they won't meet again anyway, so he shouldn't follow her. She suggests he shouldn't try to save them instead, because now their location has been exposed and the hit squad will come. They have already done everything they needed to do there, so she will leave. Now, she will blow the facility to bits, but she says it's a shame and sees him next time, along with Yuki, but he only sees Miro leaving and tells Coco to wake up, while thinking that if he chases her now, he might be able to save Miro, but even if he can save her, those people will definitely die if he doesn't save them now, and he wonders what to do, but remembers Miro's message telling him to save the people, as that was the priority since she believed in him. He starts yelling, very pissed off, and breaks those capsules. At that moment, the whole place explodes.